So one day I'm scrolling YouTube Shorts and I came across an ad for some kind of like self-help app, right? And normally it's like, who cares? It's an ad. You just kind of ignore it and move on. But for some reason, this one felt like it was personally targeted at me and me only. So obviously the ad is trying to get people to use this self-help app, right? And in the ad, it was describing like symptoms of imposter syndrome, which before this day, I had no clue what that was. So I'm reading this list of symptoms and it goes, extreme lack of self-confidence. Huh, that sounds like me. Feelings of inadequacy. Yep, that sounds like me too. Constant comparison to other people. That definitely is me. This is weird now. Anxiety, of course, that's me. Self-doubt. Distrust in one's own intuition and capabilities. Negative self-talk and dwelling in the past. Those are the most common symptoms of imposter syndrome. So I was like, wow, this sounds a lot like me. It's almost like it was targeted towards me. And the more I researched it, it's like, this explains a lot about me that I didn't know before. And basically, to describe it in my own words, it's like the sensation of not feeling like yourself. It's like walking in front of a mirror and not recognizing the person in front of you. It's like taking a look at the things you've done in your life and attributing all your success to just luck and attributing your failure to, oh yeah, I deserve that because it wasn't good. It's like going into a crowded room and automatically assuming that you're the worst person there. Now, having said this, there is different types of imposter syndrome. There's 5 kinds. There's the perfectionist, the superhuman, the natural genius, the soloist, and the expert. So this website describes the perfectionist as like they set excessively high goals for themselves. And when they fail to reach a goal, they experience major self-doubt and worry about measuring up. And they're also notoriously control freaks. If they want something done right, you have to do it themselves. Which I feel like is partially me, but not entirely. Like there's hints of it that I kind of relate to. Then there is a superhuman. And these people are like, they're convinced that they're phonies among their colleagues. So they force themselves to work harder, but it's just a false cover-up for their insecurities. But in doing so, this work overload can hurt their mental health, but also hurt their relationships with others. Which again, I kind of relate to a little bit, but not entirely. Then there's the natural genius, which is a little bit like the perfectionist in the sense that they set their goals high. But the thing is, they don't judge themselves based on the expectations themselves, but also getting things right on the first try, which is something you can't really perfect, you know? So when they don't do something quickly or fluently on the first try, then they get discouraged or something. That one I don't feel like I have any relation to at all. Then we have the soloist, who feels as though like they can't ask for help, because if they do, it's going to reveal that they are a fraud. And that in general, asking for help on something is a sign of weakness. And then there's the expert, who measure their competence based on what and how much they know or can do. Believing they will never know enough, they fear being exposed as inexperienced or unknowledgeable. And the way they describe it is like, even if you've been in your role for some time, can you relate to feeling like you still don't know enough? And I think that's true for me. Do you shudder when someone says you're an expert? So out of all the different types, I think the ones that most describe me are the soloist and the expert. I definitely feel guilty asking for help, and I try to avoid it at all costs because I have this fear of being a burden on someone in the sense that I don't want to ask them for help and them waste their time, you know what I mean? Which, saying that out loud, it sounds fucking ridiculous, but that's just the way I've always been, like my entire life. The part where they say the soloist feels as though asking for help reveals their phoniness is something I definitely relate to as well. Because like, it's weird to have like people who, I don't want to say idolize, but like they look up to you in a way because you've been doing this thing for so long and they respect you for it. And to give you an example, and this is not meant to be a flex in any way, but I've had people in the past who tell me that I was their inspiration to starting YouTube. Or they love my videos, or they ask questions about the way I do things, or they want my feedback on their videos, and I can't help but feel like I don't know what I'm doing, you know? Because like, I don't see myself in the way they see me. It's different. Like, if you tell me my video is good, I don't believe you because I can name 30 other YouTubers who make better videos than I do. So as a result, I feel like I'm getting compliments out of pity, which is an incredibly toxic mindset, but that is how I think. It's bad, I know. So out of all 5 of these types, I feel like the ones that most relate to me are probably the soloist and the expert. So back to what it says, the soloist feels as though they can't ask for help. I don't want to ask this person for help because now they're taking time out of their day to help me. And at the same time, it's like, now that that's happened, then I feel like I owe them because they helped me. It has to be this mutual thing. Otherwise, one person is being taken advantage of. I don't want to be seen as a person who constantly is asking for things and not giving things, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I feel bad about it. But for my own sake, I feel like doing things on my own is much more rewarding, because if I don't ask for help, then I can't be a burden on that person. Now, talking from personal experience, I've definitely seen a lot more evidence of the symptoms in the past couple months. To give you an example, I joined the Strength S&P a while back. That was like 2 months ago, I think. And I got in based on my previous videos because the owner seemed to like them. But the more I played on the server, I was like, I don't really fit in here, I don't think. Because this person makes better videos than I do. This person has better video ideas than I do. This person has way better editing than I do. Like, in general, I feel like I was outmatched. Like, in general, I feel like I walked into a room and I was automatically the worst person there. That was how I felt, at least. Because, again, I was comparing myself to the people around me, which is the worst thing you could do as a YouTuber, by the way. It is so demotivating. And I wish it was as simple as, like, just don't do it. But as a YouTuber, you're always chasing the next big milestone, the next viral video, the next thing that's going to blow up your channel. And if you don't know where it's going to come from or how to, go about it, then it's like, oh, well, I'm going to compare myself to someone who's already succeeded in my niche. So if I make Minecraft survival multiplayer content, then I should compare myself to someone who succeeded in that. So then it's a battle between Parrot X2 or Print Zam versus me, Drew. Obviously, I think he wins. I think both of them win because obviously they're better than me. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But in doing so, it kind of makes you feel bad about yourself. Now, having said all this, do I feel like I have imposter syndrome? Yeah, I think so. Do I know how to deal with it? No, not really. But I do think making a video about it and, being honest about it in general is probably a good thing. I mean, in general, it's like the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have the problem. So I don't know, but I'm going to end this off and say that imposter syndrome, it's a real thing. Thank you for watching and have a good one.